Are you looking for that magical solution to how you seamlessly blend your personality into your work world? Well, guess what? It's not seamless. It can be wiggly, it can be messy, even if you have decades of experience in your field. Stay tuned for this conversation today. I think it's going to help reassure you on this topic.
You're listening to The Brand Compass, conversations to navigate your way to building a brand fit for purpose and poised for success. Here's your host, 𝗘𝗣𝗜𝗦𝗢𝗓 Russell.
Hello there, my friend. Welcome back. If you're a returning listener, if you're new to me, I'm 𝗘𝗣𝗜𝗦. I'm your host on this conversational journey. This is the place where we get together and we chat about all the ways in which your personal brands meet the humans you serve. We're adding to my series today of the conversations I've been having with people from completely different expertise to come on and share how they've been faring, shaping a version of themselves that they are happy to share with the outside world and what that looks and feels like for them. Today I have a long-time friend in my work world coming to share some of her story with you and how she's finding it wending her personal self into her work world. I first met her, believe it or not, back in 2016 when I went to her event in London called New Media Europe, which at the time I didn't even realize had roots in podcasting. Ta-da, and here we are today. At the time I went for the topics and the people, but obviously I got to meet Izabela and her husband. So for the last few years, I've been watching how she's become more and more of this recognizable public face of the business, which her husband has been for many years with their YouTube channel and audio tutorials. She stepped more now into the light, takes stages at industry events, and is stretching her voice in a space where she is one of the ultimate experts in. And today I get to share her with you. So let me introduce her to you and then we can get straight into our conversation today. So Izabela Russell is the CEO of Music Radio Creative, which we all call MRC, a family-owned full-service audio agency and the largest professional voiceover agency in the world. MRC have been at the forefront of professional audio in the UK and around the world since 2005 when Izabela's husband Mike founded the business. They have over 180 professional voiceover artists they work with to support and deliver their clients' needs globally. Their clients, just to give you an idea, range from big brands like Warner Brothers, the World Health Organization, the FBI, the BBC, as well as thousands of smaller businesses and solopreneurs. And they work a lot with businesses, podcasters, radio stations, DJs, labels, movie production houses, advertisers, and more. So welcome, Izabela.
Thank you so much, 𝗘𝗣𝗦𝗦. What a wonderful introduction. And I cannot believe it's nearly a decade since we've met. Now, it actually really hit me in the intro.
I always try and go back because I think, gosh, I feel like I've known them forever, but has it been? And then, when you figure out how many years have gone by, man. Yeah, and our kids are so big now too.
I know. Wow.
So to kick us off, Izabela, can you share a little bit about how you came to be sitting here today and doing the work that you do? And then maybe we can get into your strengths and your passions that I want to push us into today.
It's been a bit of a transformation, I must say. I've started a long time ago, longer than I cared.
You're still a young lass. You're still a young lass. You're good.
I started in banking out of all the different places, believe it or not. But I feel like it's given me a really great foundation. So banking, and then I was on my maternity leave and started to sort of meddle with Mike's business. I was like, you've got this thing on the side. Can I just take a look? And I did, and never stopped. So, so this is 15 years ago now, almost. And I've kind of been developing together with the business. So it's like we were growing up together. And, started off by just adding a few different voices to our repertoire of variety, because it used to be just Mike. So Mike was the only voice of Music Radio Creative. And I was just like, no, we've got to have a female. And then we've got to have American voices. And it kind of grew from there. So over the last decade and a bit, I've recruited my goodness, I mean, it must be over 300 different voices, producers, singers, musicians, you kind of name it. And I was learning the industry I was going along. my background had nothing to do with audio, with music, with podcasting. I've kind of learned it as I was going along.
But today you're moving the focus a bit more. Do you want to just share us that's where you're moving your focus to for you? Because the business is quite established now. We're 20 years down the line.
Yes.
So what are you focusing more on yourself as a professional, just so everyone's got that context?
So my kind of passion that I'm growing at the moment is the corporate business podcasting. I absolutely love the concept of using podcasting for business with the kind of marketing angle, thinking of how can you serve your customers, how can you share your knowledge, how can you become an expert. Podcasting is an incredible platform for it. I've been watching it grow since the very beginning. So we were there at the start. 2014 is when we had our first podcasting event, and it's kind of always been there. But in the last couple of years, I'm like, this is so incredibly interesting. I want to learn more, and I want to share more about that because I think the potential is amazing.
And I think the potential for smaller businesses and not necessarily the big, Fortune 500 businesses, I think that's also very exciting.
Yes.
Because,
Actually,
both are very exciting. Because I feel like they get closer to the humans again. They get back to that human connection. Yes. That's the intimacy of podcasting, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, I think it is worth to say it is absolutely relevant to both, but both use it in different ways. I work with Fortune 500 companies and I provide coaching on how to do internal podcasting, for example. So I work with the client in the US who's developing the whole range of internal communications using podcasting. So
I love that.
Yeah, it's really, really amazing. But then on the other end of the spectrum, we have just, smaller businesses that are all of a sudden thinking, actually, I have an expertise and I can share it. And podcasting is an incredible platform to do that.
Brilliant. Obviously I want to get into personal branding in a bit with you, but what we talked about in our last episode, we recorded in May 24, and we were talking about this element of AI, starting to really knock the door quite heavily at that point, and affecting your business. So I think it would be quite useful for the listeners who did listen to that episode to kind of hear from you a bit of because in AR terms, it's been a century since 24, right?
I mean, we are in a different AI world right now.
Completely. So do you want to give us a bit of an update now as to actually what that has actually meant in terms of the shifts and the changes you've had to implement?
So loads. Actually, AI has been almost like a seismic shift of change in industry in general. Back in 24, I said to you that I think, there will be a big change in what kind of voices are available, all of those kind of, semi-professionals, they will be gone. And I've seen that happen. I mean, the number of voices we had on our books who said, actually, I'm stepping into something completely different. This is no longer a viable route to make money for me, is tremendous. But I knew this was going to happen. So that's kind of a natural transformation. We have added a lot of AI to what we do. So we offer AI voices, but we tend to focus on like super niche stuff that, like creepy AI voice or voice of God, that sort of stuff. It's fun stuff, right? Yeah. But what it meant is, and I did get a lot of hate for it. A lot of people in the industry are like, how dare you offer AI voices? But I'm just like, if I don't move with it, somebody else will step in, and I want to be moving with it so that I keep relevant. And I still think this is relevant today to many other industries. You have to go with the change rather than against it. But
let's also mention that doesn't mean that you replaced humans. No. So tell us about your human offering, because you still have them.
Absolutely. And we work with some incredible talent, people who have amazing voices, and they really, truly bring kind of any kind of project to life. But it's, people who know how to use their voice can do a much better job at bringing kind of that heartfelt connection with the audience, bringing emotion, and it's completely,
it's acting, isn't it? It's actually acting.
And actually most of the voices we work with are professional actors. So this very much is at the heart of our business and will continue to be. It's, I need to have the AI stuff to kind of, show people the difference. The number of times we get somebody who will order an AI voice and then they'll be like, actually, can I have a human, please? And we're like, yeah, of course, they are so much better.
Yeah. Plus, there's also serves different budgets as well, isn't it? Because not everybody can afford to have the human voice do a huge project,
Correct.
So sometimes they need to break that up, or people only invest in the big projects because they got the budget.
Correct.
So, but that's nice because you're giving the ability, because of the size of the business and the range of the stuff that you've been doing for so long, it's nice that you're able to kind of service those different price points, which is nice.
Exactly.
Which is very unusual, I will say, for any business to be able to do that.
It's had its challenges. It's not an easy thing to try and serve both ends of the spectrum, but that, being very conscious of that all along the way has enabled us to maintain the balance between the two. It is quite hard though. It's a challenging thing for sure.
Oh, bless you. So for the listeners, the reason why I kind of wanted to talk a little about the offers was to introduce again the concept of marketable value, which I talk about quite a lot, particularly for professionals, because it's hard for us to work out what our marketable value is as a human. But I feel like when you talk about this work, Izabela, your strategic insight and your forward thinking comes through really loud and clear. And for you as a professional, I feel like your depth of knowledge and experience is what actually guarantees that you will be in business for decades to come, because you have the strengths that will see you through whatever technological advances are actually thrown at us, right? And your marketable value as an expert in the field is just really clear to me. So I hope you feel that and you embrace that.
Thank you.
The banking that you talked about, if we circle back really quickly to those early days, what do you feel like those banking days helped to feed you in terms of skills that have helped you today?
Do you know what? One crucial thing was customer service, actually. Just knowing how to talk to people, knowing how to care about their experience all along has been incredibly valuable part. So from day one thing I wanted to ensure is that people who come in contact with Music Radio Creative get an amazing experience. And, this is to know how to deal with complaints. This is to know how, to keep clients happy, even though they may have, had issues along the way. But it's also just to talk to them and know how to sell your product in the way that matches what they need, because has always been so important to me. And I still remember having a massive conflict, even when working in the bank. You used to be incentivized by what you sold, right? So like if you sold this type of bank account or that thing, you would get more incentive for it. But for me, what really mattered was that ethical side of actually, have I given this customer a solution to the problem they genuinely have? Can I turn around and say, I've done my absolute best. This is what I would recommend to my mum or my best friend. And if the answer is yes, then I've done the right thing by the customer. And that has been an incredibly important lesson for me.
I think what I love finding out about people when they've kind of navigated these changes in their careers is how, one career move almost feeds into the other without you actually knowing it or feeling it at the time. And the universe is almost dropping the right seeds at the right time. And as long as we follow our gut instincts, we can't really go wrong.
Yeah. It's also 100%. You also have to go with the wave. I tend to see that the universe will just bring something to you and be like, "Ooh, would you like some of this?
What do you think?
What do you think?" Right? And it's like if you blank reject it, you are kind of rejecting that wave of change that you could potentially hop on and be on. Whether it's change or just a wave of success or new connections. It's so being
open.
Yes, and actually that just highlights the importance of saying yes more. I think you can do a lot more through it.
Yeah, not be too stubborn, I don't think. And no, it's only going to be done in one way and it can only be this way, because you probably will not survive the next 5 years, I don't think.
Oh, yes. I mean, if you keep doing things in the same way, it will only take you to the same place, right? You've got to try different things if you want to land in a different place as a result.
Yeah. So what I'd like to know, Isabella, is like bearing in mind these top tier clients that you work with, and I feel like you have got all this huge amount of experience and knowledge. How would you define what a subject matter expert? Because I've got my definition of what I think a good one looks like. How would you define it?
I think that this is tricky because in a way, to be a subject matter expert, you kind of need to know a little bit about everything. So I struggle with that because I think that, we have all sorts of influencers right now. And those, in a way, fit perfectly a definition of subject matter expert in the sense that they are showcasing their expertise widely, freely. They have case studies that they can show and prove that they know
they've done the work.
They've done the work, right? So that in a way fits it the most. But at the same time, I feel it's important to kind of think of this as the funnel. So, if you narrow it down from the beginning, then you don't catch as much as a result. So you kind of have to open it up a little bit wider and then maybe narrow down later. So don't narrow too fast, if that makes sense.
I think we've got this challenging time now where with the onslaught of AI, and we've had this discussion before, where that ground level of, like, we had to learn. We had, like you were saying, you grew with your business where you literally had to flex a muscle and make a decision and fail and then figure it out. And there's kind of less of an opportunity for that to happen for people going forward. So from becoming an expert, that definition may change over time, but I still feel like there needs to be a length of time that somebody's been in a topic or a subject in order to talk about it.
Yes. And AI now, everybody can be an expert with anything, right? Like, and this is where the danger is at the moment, because especially social media, this is full of it. It's like you have people who are like, oh, this, that, and it's like, well, have you just copied that? I don't have anything against using AI to refine your message or whatever, but kind of just to pretend that you are an expert in something, that's not quite.
Well, because long term it's not going to help you out, because people are going to start buying into you, then you're going to fail miserably because you can't actually advise and you can't do the thing that you say you can do. So that it actually doesn't help you in the long term. I think the other challenge we have is that the piece that's at the time of recording now, because it's all changing in a freaking year. But you shared on LinkedIn about those new AI companies that have come out and have flooded these podcasts. And my other worry was this element of like, okay, but then what the hell? What are the topics? So for context, do you want to tell the audience in case they didn't see the story about it? Because it did go around in the pod news.
So this is a company that started to generate 100% AI content. So they would do something crazy like 200 episodes a week or something like that.
Which no human can do. Like no human can do. Yeah.
And it's a company that only has 3 people employed in, and it's like 200 episodes a week, and they would just pick lots of niches and create podcasts about them. So I presume what is happening is they are doing tremendous amount of SEO research to see what keywords are highly in demand, and where can they actually get the rankings in, and then they are just creating content en masse, which is just horrendous. Like to me, that's just floods the kind of podcasting space.
The noise.
Oh my goodness. And it's,
The purpose is making money though, isn't it? Because they run ads. So as many people as they can, over that volume, they can get to engage. They make money on the ads.
That's it. And it's, there was something about the fact that, they make tremendous amount of money, as you say, from as little actually as 10 listens per episode, because of the volume that they create. It very fast creates enough to get advertising revenue. So actually the whole model is designed on volume, quality rather than quantity. Quantity
what this
rather
feels
than quality.
What this feels like from an audio perspective is, the websites you go on where all the Google ads are so bad that you have to come off really quickly. When you go onto a website, either on your phone or on the desktop, and then they're just popping up at you everywhere, and then eventually you just come off. I'm just hoping, well, I do, because I can't handle all of the ads everywhere, and I can't actually get to the content. I'm hoping that what that is from an audio perspective is similar, and it just won't last. People will make their quick buck, and just makes my heart hurt for
Yeah.
you know, the people who are trying to get good content out, that are trying to actually engage people in a good listen, you know?
And it's difficult, you know, it's actually really difficult to cut through the noise. But
Yeah.
a great analogy with the ads, I actually use ad blocker on my computer, so I don't get that. So I will
I
go,
don't, yeah.
so I will go.
So is the website actually blank with like one paragraph of what the guy when you go
It
to
just
it?
removes it, so
Oh, shit,
which is
I need that.
great. You know, highly recommend doing that if you are
Jeez.
fed up of that. But I almost hope that we will be able to do that sort of filtering.
Yeah.
You know, I hope that Spotify and Apple will give us ability to filter out the AI generated stuff. I think it's only okay and fair to say, I want to know if this is AI generated and I
Yes.
want to have a choice.
Yes.
But ultimately, I feel this will come down to us as listeners demanding that as a feature.
Yeah.
Because obviously, you know, all of those companies are getting good amount of money from advertising and they want to continue to do that. So
Yeah.
there is conflict of interest.
This is what frustrates me with the broken world of commerce is, you know, big machines that are actually broken and unethical just continue to run and continue to make money, which makes me really angry. But I'm gonna calm down. Right, so let's move into a much nicer topic. So how would you define personal brand, Izabela, as a concept? How would you describe it?
Personal brand, I think it's more important now than it was ever before, because at the end of the day, we like to deal with humans. It's human to human, right? Like we buy from another person, not from the brand. So that personal brand brings that element of humanity to whatever you do. So, you know, whether it doesn't matter if you have a business, it needs to have some sort of face, because again, people buy people. And I think it's really important to establish that, especially now with AI being, you know, the way it is, it's more important than ever. So it's just being visible personally, but on a brand level at the same time. I do this with Music Radio Creative. This is one of the things that I am deliberately trying to establish, is I'm working on my personal brand, especially through LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is really my favorite platform for this. I do create a lot of content as well. So we have a very active blog and I'm very vocal on it. But at the same time, it's all done through our brand. So our Music Radio Creative house. So it's kind of merging the two in that sense.
Well, one feeds into the other, as Dan Priestley likes to use the whole key person of influence, isn't it? Because we are the magnets that draw people in for business. People don't necessarily care about the business brand. They want to know who the people are that they're going to work with, don't they? Right. You're also doing a lot more public speaking. So you've gone over to the US, you've gone to some of the big audio conferences and things and radio conferences that you see there as well. And you are getting up on stage. So how does that impact how you market or communicate yourself now as a business? And how do you feel about doing that?
So I guess I make it slightly separate to the business. So this is part of my personal brand, rather than the Music Radio Creative as such. Although they sometimes cross over. So there will be, you know, times where, say, you know, as Music Radio Creative, we have relationship with Libsyn, and when they, you know, wanted to do a talk at the podcast show, they came to us and said, would you bring somebody in? So it kind of the worlds merge in that sense. But I, you know, this is a highly personal brand oriented thing, right? You want to grow with a personal name. You want to show your expertise, and then kind of what you do comes with it.
But you said to me before in our prep conversation, which I like because I felt similar. I've only done one big stage talk, which I was comfortable with because I got coaching. But you said something really nice where you said you feel like you reconnect with your subject and the people that you serve. Tell me more about that.
Yes, definitely. That, because being an online influencer is a very lonely space, because you are ever talk to the camera in front of you, or you type words on socials. So, you know, I work from home. I don't go to office. I don't interact with people on day-to-day basis. So actually, when you go and speak on the stage, it all of a sudden brings that audience right there to you. You connect with them personally. And actually, it keeps me personally in check, because I'm just, you know, I get the reaction straight away. So So I know whether, okay, was this good? Could I have improved
Did they
that?
resonate?
That's it. Did they resonate? And having those conversations face to face really brings that home. It just makes the whole concept real. It validates what you do, validates who you are. And yeah, 100%. Very, very important, especially if you work entirely online.
And I think what it also does is remove you from that vacuum of, this is the way I think, because by you having to step outside there and actually share it like in person, in reality, and getting that feedback, there's that external referencing going on. So it's not just a bunch of, well, because I feel like that again is a responsible trait, if you like, of a subject matter expert, is that they are constantly keeping themselves in check, to use your words, you know.
Yes, that's exactly it. Because it's very easy to fall into, it's like an ego trap, you know, especially,
exactly.
you know, especially if you get lots of interactions online. It's like, you're like, oh, you know, I'm invincible. I can do anything that, you know, but then there is that element of like, can you really still connect with people face to face? And do you find it easy? You know, because that's another thing. It can become less comfortable with time if you don't do it often enough. So I think that's really important.
And also communication skills, because like you've shared before with Mike, your husband, he's very good at taking very complex topics and simplifying them so that an audience can understand them. And I think you do the same thing, but in a more strategic way, in that you bring in reason and context into a conversation. His is very technical. He's got a very technical field, right? Whereas you're on the other element of, yes, appreciate the tech, understand the tech, but you're in the space similar to mine where it's a lot about the strategy. It's a lot about the thinking and the critical context.
It is, and actually about, you know, the marketable value of whatever it is we talk about. It's
the check is in the mail.
Because you kind of have to bring that human level check. It's like, okay, but what do you talk about? Does it actually make sense? You know, and I like common sense. I'm a big fan of that. So I like to weave that in.
And not just following trends because some dude decided it was important and the algos have told you it's right, you know. How have you found it trying to kind of bring, you know, Izabela, the natural personality, and the quirks that come with that into your everyday? How's that going?
That's challenging. That's not an easy thing to do because you question, it's like, you know, what will people think? You know, will they appreciate that? You know, will they appreciate? It's actually really difficult to weave in your personality, your hobbies, and things like that into your professional life because you question whether people will have strong opinions, you know, if they
especially with the online world, eh?
Oh my gosh, I know, and people judge you. You know, and you know, there is nothing you can ever say that will please everybody. So there will always be somebody who's vocal about what you just said, and they don't like it, so they will tell you, and then it just shuts you down further. So you are like, no, I'm not going to share anymore. I am personally struggling with it. I will be honest. It's something that I am working on, and I want to bring a lot more. But at the same time, I feel there needs to be part of Izabela that is only to close friends and family. And I think, you know, there has to be divide. And I think it's okay. I think it's okay to have that divide between the two. Yeah,
I think the only thing we got to think about is that people do want to resonate with us as humans. So there is the human part to us we do need to bring to it. So I like that you do share about your dog and you do share bits about the kids and adventures you get up to, and some of your values and your principles come through just by you sharing those things. So I think those things are important. So there's no seamless blend. It's not easy. So.
No, that's it. And I think you need to be conscious of how you want to show up. At the end of the day, if you are public online, you do need to know how you want to show up,
to be perceived as well,
and think it through rather than just dive in. And you know, like there are some people who just share their political views and things like that, and I'm like, no, actually I don't need to know your political views. You know, I really like the fact that you talk about Instagram, and I love the fact that, you know, you are an expert in Instagram marketing. Do I want to know whether it's Gaza or Israel you support? No, I don't. No, That's it. So you see, there is a line, I think.
Yeah, and hopefully everybody else has got their filters, filters as well. So there's one question I ask all guests, and there's one more after that I just want to get into with you really quickly before we close off. But when you're in the flow, right, and you're doing the thing that takes, where time just disappears, and you're just like, what on earth, you're feeling good or you're feeling energized, or for everybody that's a different space. For some people they're calm and focused. What does that look and feel like for you? What are you doing when you feel like you're in the zone?
Oh my gosh, do you know what? I love the fact that in my job I tinker with lots of different things. So I will go through phases of just learning about this or that. So at the moment I am tremendously into SEO. I know it's so boring for some people, but like for me, but we have a blog that it has 15 years of content. There is over 1,000 different blog posts, and I'm just at the moment I'm just going through the spring clean of the whole thing, and it's like, honestly, I just can't wait to get in there. This is so bizarre, but I'm just, for me it's the excitement and the time,
the brain fizzing.
Yeah, but the time just goes, and it's like, I do little things, and my brain is like, oh, should it be like this? Should it be like that? And then, I love working on 2 screens, so I will have a million windows open, and I will be going between this and this, and just kind of getting everything together. And there's that satisfaction of knowing, oh, this is now good. I've updated it. It kind of is there. And I jump into a lot of different things. So as I am updating the blog, I'll be like, oh, I need to do this on social media about that. So I kind of zigzag through the whole thing. And I like that. I like the fact that nobody is telling me that zigzagging is not okay, that I need to focus on the one thing.
As long as you feel productive and the productive works for you, I don't really care what it looks like. Yeah.
That's it. But to me, that's what work should be. Like, I don't understand, especially if you work for yourself, I don't understand why you should be doing something that doesn't feel like it. And that's why I genuinely feel like I would be unemployable today. Because
I know. This is the thing. Yeah.
But, I've always done what I really enjoyed doing, and I continually do that. And if there is something that I'm just completely bored to wits in doing, I'll be like, I need to find somebody to do this for me. I can't do this. It's important, it needs to be done, but it's not going to be me sitting there.
Yeah, but that's the strength of being who you are and running a business, because you are putting food on the table and you have a roof over your head, so you must be doing something right. You can enjoy it. So before we close today, I just wanted to, we both got teenagers. Mine's a little bit older, so she's busy facing what the last 2 years of school in terms of next steps for PAS and that. And I grew up in South Africa. We had a completely different educational system, and also I'm a Gen Xer. But what advice would you give a young person today who's possibly listening, or even insights for parents who are listening, who could do with knowing how you feel about the future, and especially for our young people?
Do you know what? I when I think of young people, I just go and think, oh my gosh, it's such an exciting time. And that's how a young person should feel. Yeah. I don't think that there should be that heaviness of like, what are you going to do with your future? What are you going to be? Where are you going to go? So first and foremost, whatever you choose, you need to make sure you have fun with it. Life is way too short to waste it on things you should be doing or somebody else is telling you to do. You need to follow your heart, follow your dreams, and follow that gut feeling inside you that tells you, I really love this. I want to do this, right? However completely stupid that is. Look at, 15 years ago when YouTube was just starting and people were like, I want to be a professional YouTuber. You would be laughed at back then. But today you have some of the biggest, some of the richest people made their money on YouTube, which is incredible. So first and foremost, have fun. I also am a huge, huge advocate of going through education. And I think that despite all the noise about AI taking over 1 million jobs and, whatever, I think it's so important that you go to university. University is not just a place to gain a qualification. It's also a place to discover yourself. And I think that we forget that. And I know it's a big expense. And to some people, it's almost out of reach. Look at options. If you are listening, you are from the UK, look outside of the UK. There is a whole world out there. Too often we feel like we have to be boxed in. If you live in Portsmouth, you've got to go to Portsmouth University. if you
Yeah.
live, it's like, it's not quite like that. We can be citizens of the world and you can be a citizen of the world too. You can look at studies and possibilities of studying abroad. So choose something that excites you. Definitely go to university if you can. I mean, I told my kids that I really want them to go to university unless they have really compelling reason to not to go. My daughter is very interested in a career in the Royal Navy, but I said to her, you can still
study
go.
within that though.
You can. So
got
there are
roots.
different paths to that.
Yeah.
But I said to both of my kids, I would like you to study and not in the UK. It's like, get out of your comfort zone. This is truly what will prepare you for real life in the world where we are digital, international, where cultures mix. It's like, you need to get out of that comfort zone. You need to get out into the real world to learn what life today is about, not just from your home. You've got to go out there. So just be brave and make brave decisions, because that's what creates great humans.
What a lovely way to end. Thank you so much, Izabela. I really enjoyed that. I appreciate your opinion on you and your view on the world. While I know that Mike, he has a spot in the world for his genius, but I want you to know that so do you. You've got this completely different gift for the world, and we can all learn so much from your perspective and your view on things. And I think the best thing is that you've been in the trenches, enough time to be able to talk really deeply about it and how it affects the humans that are not only involved in your business and in your life, but also how it affects your clients and the humans that you are serving. And I'm one of your clients, and I trust you implicitly, and I look to you for reasonable conversations about where the world is going in our space, and I thank you for that. So if anybody's listening today, Izabela, and they want to know more about you or Music Radio Creative, where can they do that?
Connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find me, just type Izabela, spelled Izabela Russell. I'm
just to
there on
mess with us,
LinkedIn.
one letter for each one of those.
Yeah, that's it. So it's an Izabela with a Z and one L.
Yes, that's
So-
why we can find you though. That makes it easy.
That's it. So LinkedIn is the best place. Connect with me. I would love to hear if you listen to this episode. I would love to know. Just drop me a message on there. And if you want to check out what we do at the Music Radio Creative, simply go to musicradiocreative.com.
And that will all be in the show notes as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shelley.
Okay. And that's it for this episode, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. So, what did you think about that? Did it help you to hear that we don't all have to have things just worked out? We're all wiggling our way through our passions and making our way through the world. Even when you're decades into your profession, like Izabela is. Izabela is a strong businesswoman with well-founded opinions and views in her field. She is a force of nature when it comes to carving a way through for her team and her business to keep their heads above water and firmly focused on the long term. However, she is also incredibly forthright, intelligent, driven, funny, curious, and lovable as a person. So when you meet her or hear her speak, her sense of self and context in the world she operates in comes through clearly. It's not easy to navigate how your work version of you gets to blend with the personal side to you. And to be honest, in my view, this isn't a seamless thing that you can try and achieve. I think the most important thing to remember is that people are looking for something in you that they can relate to. When you don't share anything about yourself, it makes it harder to see your humanity, your quirks, and what makes you fallible. People aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for reasons to trust you. When I work with clients on this tricky balance, I tend to win them over by reminding them, by boxing yourself up so tightly. This is what gives people the signal that you're perfect, unrelatable, and hard to approach. We rather work through all of the beautifully diverse elements to you as a human, and then we pick out the things that you're comfortable bringing into how you move through your work and communicate professionally. You'll be surprised how much you can actually quite easily share about yourself that will pique people's interest in you and start to trust you enough to give you their business. So if you're curious about doing this work with me, let's have a relaxed conversation about it. My details are in the show notes. Who do you know who could do with listening to this conversation and Izabela's story? Share this episode. You know you want to. Until next time, my friend, stay strong, believe you have value, and make good brand decisions.
Thank you for listening to The Brand Compass. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with your entrepreneurial friends and help them make good brand decisions. Until next time, let's keep the conversation going at 𝗘𝗣𝗜𝗦𝗢𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏